Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this one, I'm going to be going over the feedback from the community in regards to the Nulgath finale. Now, if you guys were aware, I recently did a live stream where I finished the Nulgath finale, and then I did give some feedback in regards to it. I'm going to put some bullet points of that in this video. So to start off with, I had already read the feedback from the players. So going into the Nulgath finale, I had extremely low expectations based on the feedback I had seen, and I'll be going over that feedback in this video. But it is because of that, I actually enjoyed myself a lot more than I thought I was going to. Now, I will say it was kind of short, but it was the amount of time I expected from that type of release. Also, this isn't the final Nulgath release. There's still going to be more things added to it. So even though it is the finale story-wise, it's not content-wise. We're still going to be getting more items and whatnot that's going to be coming. I'm just not sure when or what. There were some really neat moments that I liked during the finale. Like, one of the biggest things was actually finally coming up against Nulgath. I thought that was really cool. The downside is the fight itself was kind of lackluster, and it just did not seem to have the oomph that I would have thought a Nulgath challenge would have had. So that was a downside, but he looked really cool in 3D. I thought his model and everything looked really, really awesome. So that I was really impressed with. And some of the other artwork and whatnot I was impressed with. I was disappointed with the map, however, because towards halfway through, when you're in, I think it was just after the Wasteland or during the Wasteland, they talked about the Oversoul, but they talked about how there was another place where part of the Oversoul that wasn't corrupted, and I thought that was hinting that we were going to be able to see what the Oversoul looked like before Nulgath, got his greedy claws into it, because part of the Oversoul is not all dark and chaosy and gross. It's nice and pleasant, and that's where the villagers were and stuff like that, which would have been a nice tribute to the Oversoul game, and I was really hoping that's where the finale was going to be taking place. Unfortunately, that did not happen, so that was a major letdown for me. The throne room is really nice though. Map wise, I really like that. The enemies themselves, you had a couple reskinned and whatnot, but it wasn't too bad. I didn't really mind that. One thing that I was kind of disappointed was the lack of nostalgia in it. There was very little nostalgia. You have a couple introductions to a couple things like Miltonius and stuff that I thought was really cool, but beyond that, that was it. Another thing was, where are all the drops? We were told there was going to be lots of drops in this finale, and there were none. You've got some in the challenge, but you don't even get that during the actual finale. You get that's the end game stuff. So there were where were the drops? And then we were given a drop. There was a katana that drops, and then they remove it out of the game. And it's going to come back, but it's probably going to be a stupid craftable, not a drop. I am so tired of not having drops in the game. It drives me up the wall. Now, the story itself was actually not bad. I found that it flowed okay, but it just really did. It kind of seemed to end abruptly. It didn't really wrap up nice. So there was also no twists, which I really love when there's a twist in the story, and there really was none of that. But let's check out what the players are saying about the Nulgath update. So I posted a poll on my YouTube channel in the community section. If you didn't get a notification for this, it's probably because you don't have your notifications on for my channel. Make sure to turn that on so you won't miss when I post polls like this, because I like to get the feedback from the community. So I'd asked, and this is before I played the Nulgath finale, what are your thoughts about it? Was it what you were expecting? And then to comment. I have 650 votes. The first 8% said it was good. 50% said it was bad. So that is a 50%. Wow. And then we had 17% who don't care. That's even higher than the it was good. And then 24 who said it was okay. I was going to put meh but then I thought, well, I've already got, one in the negative column. So I'll put it was okay as in it was not really what you expected, but it was not, as bad as they were expected it could be. So that was the vote. Things, as you can see, did not fare super well. If you combine these two together, they still don't even come close to this. So obviously, a large majority of people were upset with it. And out of the pros and cons list, if I did make a pros and cons list, there would be more cons versus the pros, unfortunately. I was really hoping it was going to have more than it did. It almost felt like it was still not finished when it came out. So, but anyways, also the devs did a lot of work on it. Like, they were working really, really hard. So it wasn't like they weren't trying to make something. And because we didn't get quite what we were hoping for, it doesn't mean they weren't listening to it. It just means that they weren't able to, achieve that goal, unfortunately. Let's see what the community says. I swear I set my expectations as low as it could be, and they still somehow managed to disappoint, which is the one thing about the update I found impressive. Most of us are tired of grinding too much in a story instead of just having fun. Personally, the finale is just okay. If they add auras in every collection, it'd be worth buying. That's an interesting suggestion. Well, I struggled the Throne of Nulgath part where there was little parkour involved. Oh, okay. This is one of the people that had difficulties with it. I still can't make it past without falling. Also, I'm not sure if AQ3D has a brightness setting or not, but it was dark for me to see, especially on mobile. You can turn it up on your device, your brightness on your device itself, but I'm not sure I don't think the game has a setting for that. I was hoping this final chapter was going to have drops, and this is why I stopped spending money on the games. And this is another thing. I'm sure this is not going to be the first person mentioning drops, but that was something that we were all expecting, a lot of drops. It was very okay. Shadow Dungeon was just go here, kill so many things, run back here just to go back to the same place and then kill so many things. That is actually kind of how I experienced it as well. No drops aside from the main boss in the challenge mode, some more grinds, and then powerful weapon armors locked behind buying pets with real money. So the amount of items I was expecting to be able to get without having to pay $10 just for the opportunity to grind for it was drastically lower than I expected. I was fully expecting to have to partner up with Dej, but more like we have to use him as a sword and then get the replica of the sword that we get to keep, kind of like the Zoom with his bow. He does join us in the final battle, but I didn't notice until my second time through because I joined a battle in progress. And then the ending was so abrupt that I thought it was a bug, and so the ending was all over again. So I did the ending all over again, but no, that's just how it ends. Really unsatisfying. And that was also how I felt. It seemed very cut off, kind of like something happened there that wasn't supposed to happen. Or, yeah, it was a little bit, threw me off. Probably should have delayed it another month and added more items, content, and more unique experience. I would also have agreed with that. I would have said delay it and then give us more of what we would be expecting. If it needed a delay for it, I think it would have needed it. I think it did need it. I have not fully went through the last part of Nulgath, but so far it is meh. I was expecting something more, but all I was doing was running in the dark. I got bored at one point, ended up spending time changing my costumes and sorting my bank. Only AQ3D devs can neglect making new dungeons for a year because of Nulgath, then call the last map of the Nulgath saga a dungeon. Oh, well, I guess it kind of... You mean the challenge? I mean, the challenge is a dungeon, I guess. I haven't actually done the challenge yet, but... The boss fight didn't have any excitement as I was experienced while fighting other bosses in the game. They were much stronger than the Archfiend and was fun to beat and fight, and here Victor had only 3k HP while at 7k even Archfiend couldn't put much of a fight. I couldn't take him down without the help of Dej, to be honest. I could have taken him down. Sorry, I could have taken him down without the help of Dej. I felt they kind of rushed the process, but I believe Nulgath will return because in the end, this NPC named Maggot does say, "Rise from the darkness, my master, and be reborn." And that's also towards the ending. I should have said there's spoilers here, but if you haven't played through the Nulgath finale now, you just ruined it. But anyways, I also feel he will be coming back. I think there's more. That's why they call it the finale, but it's like the finale of the story, not the finale of Nulgath or there's something else coming. Overall, it was okay, but really not that exciting. I expected Nulgath to put up more of a fight. So yeah, I would have to agree with that. To be honest, it wasn't horrible, but it did need a lot more work. I hope they add the rest of the stuff they should. The highlight to me is the challenge fight rewards, because I do miss Death Fiend from AQ World, but I am also sad that it was poorly built, especially since you can get locked out so easily and then have to reset or glitch your way through. I've had some real fun getting the Hanzo set, but that was due to me pre-grinding and only having to grind for diamonds, the gem of Nulgath, and the Hanzo runes that I can understand. For some people, even that will be a grind. I feel this update needs a bit more optimization fixes too, because I and other people have had times where we will get stuck in a loading screen for like 2 to 3 minutes trying to get into the Shadow Dungeon. That would suck. Most of the areas are awesome too, like the throne, and even the area where you fight the Shadow of Dej was beautiful. This Shadow of Dej, the whole idea, I loved the Shadow of Dej, and they should come out with that armor set. Most of this update can be chalked up to awesome but meh, with most of the awesome being messed up by the meh. It's good feedback. Also, the Oblivion armor set. We're supposed to be getting the Oblivion armor set as well at some point. I was expecting that to be available at the end of this. I was honestly expecting this to be the finale, and it was going to include, everything else. It was kind of going to wrap it up in one big giant package. That's what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting this to come out and then more stuff is going to be coming later. I was expecting this all to come out because of the amount of delays that we've been getting on it. But what on earth would it have been before? I mean, how many delays did we get on this thing? Could you imagine what we would have gotten before if this is what we got after this many delays? Oh my, I would have shuddered to have thought. The update is okay, especially the Hanzo set grind. That a lot easier than the other Void armors. Oh, is it? Okay. Grind the boss is hard if we don't use some tactic or strategy, so yeah, that's my opinions. It was just okay, but felt a little short, not long as I expected, and the thing that I don't personally like about it is that they didn't put much detail into it, and in all words, I respectfully say it's an okay update. It was so mediocre, but the very end with Maggot makes me think that this isn't the end. Okay, so someone else also feels the same way. I'll be blunt, yet PG-13. Nulgath 3 is the lowest common denominator in the entirety of AQ3D, but instead of a desired rant, I will give my bullet points. Okay. The good. The art department did a good job with the environment, from textures to models and even special effects. The parkour section was so rad that I came out of it all warm and fuzzy inside. Okay, well, that's nice. The bad. The entire layout of the main dungeon is like a discount red monastery. Okay. It wants to be like the catacombs, but fails on every front. I was also not a fan of. If you're talking about the area where you're going back and forth from the quest guy, and then you're running into the 4 different areas that had the keys, that was the map that I was thinking, why would you do this when you could have done a village setting of Oversoul? But anyways, not a single NPC battle or event felt engaging or interesting. I saw everyone just rushing past the worthless mob killing. There is no value in jumping back and forth in the same area for mob killing, no items or drops, just kill them, otherwise the dungeon lasts 10 seconds. That's too bad too. The final battle was a letdown too. Aside from the event horizon in the background, nothing else felt polished. To such extreme that the big bad of Nulgath was just another generic mob to kill. Yeah, that's kind of how it felt. There's no value to the storyline, like at all, from the nice start in Celadon to the surprise cliffhanger in the Wasteland to this. Wow. The ugly. Zero optimization in the dungeon. The FPS in the basement on systems that run perfectly games with 500 times the graphical fidelity of AQ3D On mobile devices, the lag and severe lack of frame rate was seen and felt across the board. Crashes everywhere due to instability. Fix the game. You keep stuffing new content over a broken foundation with you have neglected this far, like praying that it's going to pass as game design. The mobs practically follow you across the entire map. Wow, really? The quest design is the FedEx of the FedExes. I mean, they didn't even try to mask the tasks behind some kind of purpose for the player. There, of course, is more, but I promised a PG-13 report on what I went through, so there you have it. They delayed this to polish it, and in the end, it's just another unimaginative, broken, and disparage expansion to the game that is kind of running on life support at this point. And if you still don't believe that Nulgath 3 is bad, compare it to Darkovia, Ashfall, or Heartwood, then you'll realize how low the standards have become with this last expansion. Well, thanks for your feedback. For someone who doesn't even like the Nulgath saga, even though the finale was disappointing to say the least, the final battle can't even be considered as a boss battle since it was way too easy. The ending was anticlimactic and underwhelming. That is also how I felt about the ending, that it was anticlimactic. And for the delays that happened and them claiming that the delays were to give them time to give us a finale that we deserved, I don't see it. I really hope AE has the explanation for all this, since if everything that has happened as intended by the devs, aside from the bugs, then I really have to start considering moving into greener pastures. And so this was another thing that I'm a little bit confused about. Like, if what we got here was, what they were hoping we were going to be happy with, I shudder to think of what we would have got had we not complained prior to it. I don't know. Anyways, even as a longtime fan of Arctic's games, I have to say the Nulgath finale was so horribly executed and boring that I personally see no point in continuing playing this game. It's almost like the devs had just stopped caring about the players' experiences. Ouch. None of my experience were met. No Hanzo shield, only weapon from Dage, and many more items that were left unreleased with zero response from the community manager, which ignored us and was talking about her birthday for some reason. And there are a lot of items unreleased. And there is a plethora of Nulgath items and stuff that they could have added into the game. They've had over a year to add those items into the game. I just don't understand. This could have been, anyways. The grind that has, the map was big enough to be annoying, which was a recreation of the wasteland moving around and doing quests, which could have been minimized. I agree, the map was bigger than it needed to be. The grind that was given to us, which was the Hanzo armor set and the Fiend armor set, both gave similar stats, same as the Void Draker and Void Knight, so there's no incentive to farm unless it's for the cosmetics, which seem to be the reoccurring theme with AE lately. Challenge does not feel like a challenge, feels like reused materials and attacks from the Yetin dungeon, and you can run around in circles and finish the dungeon. So yeah, in conclusions, weapons missing from the release, no response from the community manager about the update or receiving feedback, map was so big and walking around to get quests done was boring, sets are not worth the farm with no incentive, and the challenge felt a little more easier than most of the other dungeons with mechanics implemented into it. Okay, good feedback. Disappointing to say the least. The mobs leading up to Nulgath were -1 to 3. Okay, actually, yes, I encountered that bug too. I'm not sure if that was a bug, but some of the enemies we had were like literally level 1, and I was one-hitting them. Pretty sure they were supposed to be scaled. I also felt that. Definitely not what I was expecting, but the Nulgath material farming is over. Well, so there's a shining at the end of the rainbow. They did what I thought they'd do, which is to do what they already planned and say they changed it and act like they did a lot. What happened to the old Nulgath? Let the real Nulgath handle the storyline of AQ3D and see what happens. After 3 months or so, you could expect the update to live up to the hype. Sadly, it didn't even come close. There were many glitches and barely any drops. Also, the story fell off once we entered the Oversoul. Like, what was even Dage versus Nulgath cutscene? So it seems a lot of people seem that way, that once it hit the Oversoul, the story seemed to really drop. After waiting for several months, what we got, just disappointment. It was okay. I expected to get a title at least for the parkour for every letter in the dungeon, but nothing for nothing. People said there was a katana drop. I missed it. So no title, no loot, not even trash level item. So there was a katana drop, and then they removed it for some reason, and then now it's a legacy item. And they're going to be re-adding the katana probably as a craft later on, which is, we didn't get what we promised. Full bugs. Evil Elemental quest is random drop, but almost impossible to complete, so Nox is still the best way of farming diamonds. That's also stupid. Is literally the best ways of farming for Nulgath material is by running the Noxus dungeon and by running the world bosses. Two things which are boring, and the world bosses, you need to be part of the Federation or at least have friends who are in the Federation in order to actually succeed at this. Like, it's just, it infuriates me that it's been like this for a year and there's still no new way to farm it, or at least a new way that's a good way. What they should do with the Evil Elemental, you're paying money for this, real life money, so the Evil Elemental should have a high drop rate. So just give us a pay to win method. It's already going pay to win anyways. Just, you might as well give us a pay to win method so we can just farm it the easy way for people like me who don't have time to spend 10 hours farming world bosses or farming the Noxus a million times. But anyways, so the 2 weapon drops from Hanzo the Void and the Nulgath got removed. There was 2 instantly, so only a few people, like 5 people, got the weapon. So I feel Nulgath is incomplete and super unfair to those who didn't have a chance to get the Hanzo katana that went super rare in a few hours. Worst update, not a lot of drops like they promised, and not more difficult sets like Fiend that need again to get the Void Knight of Nulgath. Yeah, which is another thing that I find stupid, that it requires a Void Knight. But is it done, or is it the finale part 1? Honestly, I would have to say that this is correct, that this is the finale part 1, and because there's obviously going to be more content coming, so I would have to say yes, this is finale part 1 based on what I've seen. Like, you have the ending that's obviously inconclusive. You've got tons of items that are missing. So if you zoom out during the second phase of Nulgath, you'll see his ugly feet. Oh, really? Underneath I never thought about zooming out. The whole arena around his waist makes him look like he's wearing a tutu. I never thought of doing that. The story is fine. I had fun with the jokes. Overall, the design was pretty cool. Game-wise, it's not challenging. Right, so lack of challenge. I didn't really have a problem with the story, personally. I thought it was okay. There was no twists, but, I mean, the Death Knight is still in development. Yep. Still a Nulgath grind. Do they listen to the community? I sound negative, but I really do love this game. They've gone in the wrong direction. Give the players something to do, and by that I mean something fun and challenging. I've said before to add a 10-man or 20-man dungeon experience and skill over someone with hours and hours of a day to grind gear. Majority of players don't play for 5 to 10 hours a day. But long story short, the finale was what was expected. Same grinds and nothing to do in the end game. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Disappointing. Take this key and walk all the way over to one of the portals, open it, return to me, now walk all the way back to the portal and kill 10 monsters, repeat 4 times. Even the maggot NPC knows it's a long way to just open a portal. He says something like, "Why does it take you so long? I'm just waiting for your video to give us the information about the drops. I don't feel like grinding to find out." It's a game made for its fans, but I wonder when they're going to actually listen to players. Some players don't even take people like me seriously. They feel like I'm wasting my time on this game. But truth is, it's all good. It's good. Could be super awesome, but they disappoint us players a lot. I simply don't understand AE. It is a good game. I still enjoy playing the game. There's elements to it that can frustrate me, but at the end of the day, all these people who are giving their feedback, just like me, we give our feedback because we love the games and we appreciate what the devs do, for sure. It's not like we're trying to, it's not a personal thing against the devs or the efforts that they put to the game. It's just we're expressing what we would like to see in the game. And there's nothing wrong with that. I choose bad, but actually it was just disappointing. It was okay, it was easy to pass, saw no drops, and it was very short and not that epic. I expected more. A little disappointed because it felt rushed. A lot of people keep saying it felt rushed. So Atlantis was 100% better. The simplest thing was just to put a raid. It's the finale. So a raid seems to also be something a lot of people were expecting to see. The designs of the areas and armors are very cool, but everything else was meh. Boss, too easy to beat. The combat in general needs some improvement. They delay the Nulgath finale and still disappointing. No drops from other mobs, no titles, and you need to buy pets to get good sets and cosmetics. Soon, this game will become pay to win. The devs lost creativity the second they implemented themselves into the game. Absolutely, or utterly, sorry, I don't know why I'm trying to say something else. Utterly pathetic job. That's unfortunate. Definitely not what we needed. Time to move into other games for me. Cannot keep to being led on by a company that doesn't care. More freaking farming, bugs and more bugs. Underwhelming finale to say the least. Only some people are keeping their katanas. AE can take a flying leap. I am officially done. Found another game to play. Oh, that's too bad. It was disappointing and riddled with bugs. Some spoilers ahead, so play through it first. The quests, for the most part, are tedious and boring. Early on, it was determined by you and the quest giver that you need to enter all 3 gates and defeat all 3 enemies, yet they have quests like open the gate, then turn it in, kill some mobs, and go back, turn it in, kill the boss, turn it in, and a bunch of other stuff. It's like they have a quota for quests. It's not as bad as the Lion Fang and the Nulgath fight, though. For some reason, both aren't a solo instance fight. Okay, so they are now. Once you get to the Lion Fang to fight him, a cutscene appears. By the end, the other guy in that dungeon with me, it's either the world's fastest reader or the story skipper, went on to fight the Lion Fang. I just end up turning in the quest without having to do anything. So those instances when I played it were solo instance. But I think the reason why they originally weren't solo is because a lot of people don't like solo instances. They like being able to do things with other players. So personally, I would have loved to have been able to play through that parkour section with my buddy rather than do it by myself. Same with the Nulgath. I would much rather fight, with somebody else. But I can understand for story's sake why they had to change that or why it would upset some people. Worst thing is the final showdown against Nulgath. I never got to have my Nulgath fight. I was robbed of that fight because of it not being a solo instance. My experience is basically me hopping from the loading cut screen to the next one until Nulgath is just defeated by other people. This is by far the worst story update ever. So luckily, I will say for those things, they did change that. So at least it's not going to ruin that part. But as far as the whole Nulgath fight, you didn't miss very much when it comes to it. Lack of content, no raid, pretty boring final boss fight, more farming for the same materials over and over since the saga started, not to mention the remaining weapons and armor sets that are going to be released, and when is it supposed to be the last Nulgath update? I can't see AE had to delay it for so long. Can't see why AE had to delay it for so long. Honestly, I'm asking the same question myself, and it is the same farming. Which has been the same farming since the beginning. It's been those, and there's really no new way, even though they introduce a new way you can do stuff, but it's not worth the amount of time you're investing. So Noxus is still the best for diamonds? Come on. That's not logical. There should be a whole new method of obtaining stuff now. The old way, it was the old way. There should be an easier way now. It's almost done, so it should just make it easier for anybody upcoming, because who's going to be farming the world bosses? The second the AE Federation is done farming the world bosses and we move on to something else, those world bosses will become impossible for other people to defeat. So no one is ever going to be getting Nulgath items in the future once AE Federation moves on, or once the community, I should say the community, because it's not just the AE Federation, but as soon as they move on, what is the rest of the people who want to get the items going to do? They can't world hop, and they can't. Anyways, it's going to be really, really. I don't know what they're going to do about that, but you will always find the best equipment you can buy with dragon crystals, and this is not permissible. So that does seem to be the growing trend right now. Terrible. Where is the detail they put into Ashfall? Secret missions, challenges. There's none. Is missing everything when Nulgath is the one who's supposed to be a tricky demon. Could have been better. I expected it more epic and a bit more original, but I am glad it is done. The only thing I'm glad for. I expected at least some drops from the ordinary mobs, at least cosmetics, if no stat items. Pretty disappointed for the fact that we have more pets who unlock more items like the other updates. Definitely disappointed for the fact that, again, the sets need tons of farming. As I said, the only thing I am glad for is that this saga is done. Rotten hell, Nulgath. I smacked Nulgath in the full Legion suit to express my hate for him. I was incredibly disappointed. It was very short, dull zones that are just massive with nothing to see or do. No new mobs, incredibly boring boss fight. Overall, it was just sad. I hate saying this, but I think it's time to quit AQ3D. This was the best saga in the whole game, and I don't know how they could have made the game worse. And he's saying best, quote. So, man, I missed a good saga like Ashfall, Sandsea, or Darkovia. How they managed to make something like Nulgath Finale is just so trash. Decent story, terrible gameplay, feels like a rushed project. Didn't deliver on many things previewed, and the area was full of bugs and glitches that need patches. Not many additional drops as promised, and the challenge fight as well as its loot are not worth doing. Hope they work on this and learn from their mistakes in future projects. So we're seeing a lot of negativity here, but I will point out that, you know, people that played through it, they're frustrated. It's also, you know, but I'm really impressed that you guys are not like, you know, you could be far more verbally bashing, which you're not. So, and I respect that. It's a waste of time. Time to move on to other games since they are taking that pay to win route anyway. And it does kind of seem that way since within the last update, we've gotten 3 pets that cost dragon crystals, all that have farming, and there's no pet that requires that. I understand you need dragon crystals. It keeps the game alive. Without it, servers would die. But at the same time, it does kind of seem like it's leaning more and more that direction. The item drop is trash. Wow, that was bad. So bad. Arctic's people don't listen to the players. They really are focused on their gain. I guess I'll look for a new game, perhaps the best option. Well played. I can't say they're focusing on their gain. I mean, that's definitely what they do when there are things that cost dragon crystals or things like this. This goes back into the development of the game as well as the maintenance of the servers and maintaining the servers. So it's very important. As a free-to-play game, you need to have that form of things. So, and with the lack of players that AQ3D has, it definitely needs to, you know, maintain that sort of thing. So stuff like this is to help it remain a free-to-play game when they introduce pets like that. So I don't mind it, but I can understand how it would also be troubling for some people. After I was playing this game for like 9 months straight, this update is the most disappointment update I got from this game. And yeah, I'm just a guy that only cares about a good looking but not too grindy items, but this update sucks. Because if you want this thing, you need to pay for it, to grind again and again just to get it, and I don't know why devs doesn't care about the feedback that most players giving it all, like making Nulgath Finale grind much easier, but no, it's way more harder than what the previous update gives us, and I know that I'm too excited for it, but don't you all remember this update was delayed so many times, and this is what we got? A disappointment. Someone else sent me their Nulgath Finale comments on Twitter, so I decided I would cover it here. So the gem of Nulgath has no utility. The Nulgath Finale boss is just a regular boss fight. There was no new innovations, and poor Nulgath deserved better. Level 44 is still the meta set, and there were lots of drops where Ravenspire had more. The Fiend Cape is missing. Okay, so the Fiend Cape is missing. I knew that the Fiend Cape was missing. There should be more farmable and droppables. This is an MMO. We loot. There is no way to convert capstones into Fiend ones. The Talons needs a rework. So, the Talons are a little interesting. The Fiend set quest came broken. The Hanzo Katana, this was supposed to drop. Oh, well, this wasn't supposed to drop. Okay, and so they removed it. Yeah, that was another major issue. Old farms are still the only way, which is boring. Do it with Noxus, Voids, Dragons, Mandible. The entire saga ended, and we only have these ways to farm. We need to add more. The Larvae Void Elemental quest is both with low drops. This quest came for nothing. And that's actually, so this is the big one, the Elemental quests. You're paying dragon crystals to farm on the void, the larvae, and then it doesn't even, like, it drops. I'm going to be testing that out, but I've heard they suck out loud. This update was 30% not finished, 20% bugged, and 50% playable if all those items wouldn't come. Transparent and explain why, because we should be expecting that. We have faith, at least some of us. Where is the Oblivion Blade? It got hyped in Catacombs part for no reason. Where is the Crystal Phoenix? Where is the Overfiend Blade? Well, we got the Overfiend Blade, didn't we? The Shadow Spear. Dej said he put it in the game with the Arm Blade. Where is the new Shadow of Dej boss sword? Where is the Hanzo shield and the dagger? So where's Taro's katana? That's another thing. The Manslayer. Like we've these items. There's so many items that are missing from the game, and that's what I don't understand. But that is the feedback. This is a big video, but hopefully you guys are able to stick around to the end. What do you guys think of the finale now that it's over and done with? Are we going to be getting more stuff? And are you hoping that we're going to be getting more drops added somewhere? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.